Hello and welcome to You Are Your Own Hero. I am Dr. Tassel Faith Shamebrook, and today we are talking about your true freedom. And I'm going to give you 5 very powerful practices in order to really fully step into your true freedom. But before we do that, let's just back up and talk about what do I mean by your true freedom. So to me, true freedom really means that no matter what is happening in your external world, that you have a place of peace and contentment within yourself. To me, this is true freedom, because then your sense of peace and contentment is not reliant upon anything that's happening in the external world. There is a sacred space within you where you can always find this peace and contentment. And this is absolutely delicious to me because this really means I am free. And this also means to me that I'm very unlikely to stay in a relationship that really doesn't serve me. I'm also very unlikely to stay in circumstances or situations that really do not serve me, because I am not sourcing my peace and contentment from outside of myself. And this is not to say that the external world doesn't hold wonderful joys and pleasures for us. It absolutely does. But the way I see it is that these things are all icing on the cake. They're all extra. They're not necessities. The necessities of my own peace and contentment, I am sourcing from within myself. Okay, so let's get to these 5 practices that can really help us more fully land in our own inner peace and contentment. And the first practice is the practice of inner truth. And this is one of my absolutely favorite practices that I do in myself. And I won't say it's easy. It's not easy. In fact, it can be one of the most challenging practices to embody, but the results are amazing in the long run. So by inner truth, I simply mean that to ourselves, we are in our own truth, even when that truth is really painful, even when it's really inconvenient, even when it's really uncomfortable. So as a therapist, I hear sometimes my clients say things like, well, I don't really like my job, but it does have some aspects that are helpful. It pays well, and I like my coworkers. Or I might hear a client say, I don't really like my marriage, but I guess I should stay for my kids. So these are rationalizations. These are justifications, and these are all taking us away from what is the absolute truth. More than likely, the absolute truth is I don't like my job. I don't like my marriage. Those are true statements. And often we are very wary or fearful to really be in our truth because we don't know what to do after that. So if I really don't like my job or I really don't like my marriage and I'm not sure what to do, we tend to shy away from really landing in that truth. And another practice we can just add in here is just let the universe take care of things for you. You just be in your truth. You send out that truth to the universe and let the universe support you in the next steps. We don't have to worry about the how, but we do need to be in our own truth to shift anything to begin with. So when you're in your own truth, you will be at peace. Even if the truth is uncomfortable, inconvenient, painful, you will be at peace, because it's when we're rationalizing, justifying, avoiding the truth that we're basically at war with ourselves. And it's very uncomfortable and it takes a lot of energy. And it's very hard to find peace within ourselves when we are living outside of our inner truth. And so additionally, inner truth with ourselves, and then also at times we may feel called to speak our inner truth to people that we are in relationships with, if it really feels aligned. And this is also a great way to continue to cultivate our inner peace. So I'll give an example here. Recently, in a very close relationship, I didn't want to, but I took off kind of rose-colored glasses, and I really landed in some inner truth about this relationship that was very inconvenient, very uncomfortable, and very painful. And I sat with it for a long time, and then it felt aligned, and to help to heal the relationship, to speak to my friend about some issues that had come up in our relationship. And to be honest, when I first had this conversation with my friend, it did not go well. It did not go well at all. And it was all very uncomfortable in the beginning. And at the same time, I did have peace, because even though it was really uncomfortable and it didn't really go well, especially in the beginning, it was the truth, and it felt like something that really needed to be talked about. And so I left the conversation a bit sad and uncomfortable about what had happened, but I also left the conversation in peace, that I was in integrity with myself for speaking the truth that felt needed to be spoken. And that also felt that it was the highest and best for my friend as well, the highest and best for both of us. Okay, so first practice about really developing your inner sense of peace is your inner truth. Okay, second practice is accepting and surrendering. So it's really helpful when we are able to accept and surrender to whatever currently is in our reality, while also holding the understanding that everything that currently is only temporary. It's only what has been manifested and co-created by you in your life so far. So it's all very temporary. But just being able to accept and surrender to whatever is in your current present moment brings so much peace. Then we're not fighting. We're not fighting against the present moment. We're not resisting the present moment. And we probably all have heard this phrase, what we resist persists. When we accept and surrender to the reality, we achieve peace, and we also most likely can move forward in a different direction once we stop resisting it. So in the example with my friend, I tried to practice this. I tried to just accept and surrender to what was happening with him, including this awkward, uncomfortable, somewhat painful conversation, and not resist it, and just accept, okay, this is happening, and I'm going to find peace here. I'm not going to fight this. I'm not going to resist what is happening. This is happening. And then again, to also, at the same time, we can always hold a vision of how we would like things to be, how we would like things to turn out. But just accepting and surrendering to the present brings us so much peace. Okay. The third practice of really working to embody your inner peace is, this is such a hard one, is to let go of any particular outcome. This is really hard. The human wants particular outcomes, right? I mean, that's what we want. We want to have particular outcomes in life. But if we can release the outcomes to the highest and best, release the outcomes of any situation to the universe, and not need any particular outcome, then again, we can have peace. So again, in the example with my friend, this was really hard for me because my human absolutely wanted a particular outcome. I wanted the conversation to go well, and I wanted us to be in harmony and peace with each other. But as the conversation wasn't going well, I tried to release any particular outcome and just leave it up to the universe and to the highest and best for what would manifest. And this brought me peace. Again, because I wasn't fighting anything, and I wasn't like overly attached to needing any particular outcome. And again, I just want to emphasize we can always hold a vision for our preference, a vision for what we want, but we can practice letting go of any particular outcome, and also realizing that outcomes may shift over time as well. What your ideal vision may be may not manifest immediately, but may come later. But again, letting go of any particular outcome just releases our expectation and our attachment and possible suffering. Okay. So number 4, the fourth practice here of helping to really embody our inner peace is trust and faith that all is always happening for our highest and best and for everyone else's highest and best. And this is also not an easy practice to fully embody because sometimes we are in situations that are very painful, are very messy, are very confusing, very stressful, and our human can wonder, why is this happening? I don't really want to be in this situation. But just backing up and taking this larger perspective that we are always experiencing basically what our soul has set out for us to experience. And of course, we are our soul. So we can trust our soul, we can trust ourselves that whatever is happening is for our highest and best. So again, one more time in this example I gave of this somewhat difficult experience with a dear friend of mine, I tried to lean in to this practice that whatever is happening with my friend, it is for the highest and best. And I may not understand it now, may not see it now, but looking back at my entire life, I can really see how everything has served me, even if I couldn't see it in the moment. Okay, one more practice about really embodying our true freedom, which is our sense of peace, in my humble opinion, is to to really identify, clarify, what do you need in your life to feel grounded and centered and safe within yourself? So these could be many different things. It could be maybe having your home clean and organized. Maybe this gives you a sense of peace. Maybe doing exercise during the week. Maybe this gives you a sense of peace. Maybe talking things out with your friends could give you a sense of peace. Maybe taking care of your body and eating certain types of food really helps you be grounded and centered and with that sense of peace. So if it feels resonant, just right now in this moment watching this video, you can ask yourself, what really provides me with a sense of groundedness and centeredness and inner safety? And I'm just going to ask myself that question just as an example to share it. And for me, I would say what really helps me feel grounded and centered is I really like to be organized. That really gives me a sense of peace. And I really like having a bit of a schedule. That also gives me a sense of peace. And I really like when communication in my relationships is really open and honest. This also gives me a lot of peace. And then I would say the number one thing that gives me a sense of peace is everything we've been talking about here, is just really privileging my sense of peace and doing all of these practices. My inner truth, acceptance, surrender, letting go of outcomes, trusting everything is happening for the highest and best. All of those practices are really what keep me very grounded and centered and with a really profound sense of peace. Not all the time. This is something that I still am practicing myself, but I always come back to it if I fall out of it. Okay, so just a few final points here. The first point I want to make is I used to really set all these very human goals for myself. When I was younger, I wanted to get married, I wanted to have kids, I wanted to get my PhD, I wanted to make a certain amount of money, I wanted to achieve certain milestones in my career, all of these things. And this has only been somewhat recently, but I've really I still have goals like that. But my number one goal is just my inner sense of peace and contentment. That is my number one goal. And this has really changed my life. This has really helped me understand what is most important to me is really just this sense of freedom inside of myself, that I don't need anything to happen on the external. Of course, I have desires. I would like certain things to happen on the external, but I don't need them to happen in order to feel peace and contentment. My peace and contentment is right here within me, and through all these practices I've been talking about. Okay, another additional point here is a question I like to ask myself a lot, which helps to guide me, is this relationship in the direction of my inner peace or not? Is this situation in the direction of my inner peace or not? Is this choice I'm thinking about making, is it in the direction of my inner peace or not? And so this is just like a North Star, a compass, a guideline for me to help me make decisions and to let go and release really anything that is not in the overall direction of my inner peace and contentment. And then the last point I'll make here is, to me, the measure of success, my own measure of success, has now become, am I at peace? That is my measure of success. And am I showing up in the best way that I can, in my highest and best? Am I trying to show up in the best way that I can in my life, with love and compassion and understanding towards others and myself? So this whole practice of really working to be in my own inner peace and contentment has shifted my entire idea of what success is as well. To me, success is being at peace inside of myself, no matter what is happening on the external. So beautiful friends, thank you so much for joining me on this video. And if you enjoyed the video, if you consider liking it or subscribing to the channel, this really helps my work. And thank you so much. And just every love and blessing to you on your adventure in life and in your own inner peace and contentment. So much love to you. Bye.